Have you ever noticed your dog suddenly starting to follow you everywhere? From room to room, step by step, never too far behind. At first, it might seem cute. Maybe even a little funny. You turn around, and there they are. You move again, and they follow. It feels like a game. But after a while, you start to wonder. Why now? Because the truth is, dogs don't change their behavior randomly. When your dog suddenly begins to follow you everywhere, something deeper is happening beneath the surface. Something emotional that most owners completely misunderstand. It's easy to assume they just want attention. Or maybe they're bored. But that explanation barely scratches the surface of what's really going on inside your dog's mind. Because following you is not just movement. It's communication. Dogs are naturally social creatures. In the wild, staying close to their group means safety, survival, and connection. But in your home, that instinct becomes something much more personal. You are their group. So when your dog starts following you more closely than usual, it often means their need for connection has increased. But here's where it gets interesting. That increased need doesn't always come from happiness. Sometimes, it comes from uncertainty. Dogs are incredibly sensitive to changes in your behavior. Even the smallest shifts, your tone of voice, your routine, the way you move through the house, can signal something different to them. Maybe you've been busier lately. Maybe you've been quieter. Maybe something in your life has changed, even slightly. You might not think it's noticeable. But your dog does. And when they sense that change, they don't pull away. They move closer. That's why they start following you. Not because they want something from you, but because they're trying to understand you. They're watching your movements more carefully, reading your expressions, trying to reconnect with your emotional rhythm. It's their way of asking, without words, "Are we still okay?" And sometimes, that question carries more weight than you realize. Because your dog's sense of safety is deeply tied to you. When everything feels stable, they can relax, wander, rest on their own. But when something feels different, even slightly, they instinctively reduce distance. They stay near. That's not neediness. That's awareness. But there's another side to this behavior that many people overlook. Sometimes your dog follows you because they've formed a deeper bond than before. Maybe you've spent more time together recently. Maybe you've comforted them during a stressful moment. Maybe they've simply grown more attached over time. And now, being near you feels better than being anywhere else. So they choose proximity. Not out of fear, but out of preference. They'd rather be with you than anywhere else in the house. And in their world, that's one of the strongest forms of affection. But how do you tell the difference between emotional closeness and emotional anxiety? It comes down to how your dog behaves when they're near you. If they follow you and then relax, lie down, breathe calmly, settle into the space, that's connection. That's comfort. But if they follow you and remain tense, restless, constantly watching, unable to settle, that's something deeper. That's a sign they're seeking reassurance. And in those moments, your response matters more than you think. Because your dog is not just following your steps. They're following your emotional lead. The way you move, the way you speak, the way you react, it all tells them whether the world is safe or uncertain. So when you move calmly, when your energy is steady, when your presence feels grounded, your dog begins to relax too. They don't need you to say anything. They just need to feel that everything is okay. There's also a quieter, more beautiful reason your dog might follow you that often goes unnoticed. Sometimes, they simply don't want to miss a moment with you. To you, walking from one room to another is nothing. To your dog, it's movement of the most important being in their world. And every step you take is something worth being part of. So they follow. Not because they have to, but because they want to. And maybe the most powerful part of all this is how natural it feels to them. They don't question it. They don't overthink it. They just act on what they feel. Connection. Curiosity. Care. So the next time your dog quietly gets up and follows you, again and again, don't just see it as a habit. Pause for a moment. Because behind those footsteps is something much deeper than routine. It might be trust. It might be emotional awareness. It might be their way of staying close to the one thing that makes their world feel complete. And in that simple act of following you, they're not just moving through space. They're choosing you. Every single time.